Okay, syllabus. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Is that Anchorman?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. What do you have on the docket for us today, Dan the man?
Well, Jen,
Watch it. I didn't know if you were going to go for men or pen.
I was going to say hen.
Oh.
Because...
Cluck, cluck, motherfucker.
Female.
Well.
So we have had our first big blizzard of the season today.
Yeah, it's so pretty outside. It's so magical looking.
We've had some flurries the past few days, but today was like the first bona fide.
Boner fide.
I was debating it so bad. But yeah, like proper blizzard.
Well, with snow that stuck, but the first actual beautiful snowfall was during the Christmas parade last weekend. And wasn't that so magical?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
Oh, yes. So, everybody, I was on the parade committee, which made me feel so fun. And
this is our
behind the
local town's Christmas parade.
Yeah. And
which is actually quite special because it takes place at night.
yeah, a lot of people come from all over. I guess like 30,000 people usually come.
Yeah. It's like one of them Disney parades.
Yeah, but I was taking the official pictures for the parade committee. And so Dan and Betty went kind of separately. Like I left them to go take pictures. And because we got there at 5:30 and the parade started at 6:30 and it was like -10. And
it was
so
not only
windy.
Cold, but it was windy.
We had
and
her in
cold.
6 layers, but she was still too cold on her face.
She looked like little Maggie Simpson or little
star.
snowsuit, yeah.
Yeah, so they left right before the parade started.
It was literally 10 minutes before. The crowds are just starting to pack the sidewalks. And Betty's just like, cold, 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 cold. And I'm like, fuck, let's go.
Yeah, of course.
She looks so uncomfortable. And I don't know, I don't fully understand, but she just is so uncomfortable. It's obviously the cold.
Yeah.
Because she's saying cold, 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 cold.
Yeah.
Nothing else. And so we walked the 10 minutes back. It was like, it reminded me of the days when I would walk to and from school in the cold.
Both ways uphill, Grandpa?
Uphill both ways, kids. Think about that.
So did they not have school buses when our parents went to school? Because like, what the fuck?
No, they just chose not to take the school bus so that they could
use it
patronize their children in the future.
Man, I always wonder what Betty's going to talk about in therapy about how we fucked her up. Do you ever think about that?
I think about how we're doing our best, but there are going to be times when we make mistakes and it affects her in some capacity.
But I feel like the worst is when you're doing something constantly and you don't realize it.
Yeah.
You know? And that freaks me out. That's why I try to be so self-aware. But nobody's really fully self-aware. Oh, you know what we should talk about? Who? I want to talk about something really crazy. So when I joined this friend group in high school with Sydney, my still current friend Sydney, and Eugene actually was in it, and Pokey, and Rhiannon and John.
What a motley crew.
Yeah. So they used to do something,
troublemakers.
and I kind of came in on it, but they used to do something called the Wesleyan, where basically there was this church in town, and they would go every once in a while, and I was only in on a couple of these. You would go, everyone in the same car, park in the parking lot. Have I ever told you this?
I'm not sure.
Okay, everyone would go, park in the parking lot, and sit there, and then everyone would basically spill the tea on each other. So you would just confront each other with like, here's what you do that annoys me. And it was wild.
And this was called pulling a Wesleyan?
No, it was just going to the Wesleyan. Like it was doing I think it was going to the Wesleyan.
Okay.
Anyway, so I was in a couple of these, and I remember one of the things that affected me the most was when, I think it was Sydney told me, she's like, you never ask anybody what they want to do. You just plan things.
Oh, shit.
No, but it's good. It's good when people
And that's
say
why
things
you've
to your
not
face.
spoken in 15 years.
Sydney, who? No, it was good because the worst is when you talk about someone behind their back and you never give them an opportunity to change or realize what they're doing. So it was great to go to the Wesleyan and be like, here's what you do that annoys me. Because, it did make me, I'm not saying like I totally fixed it, but it made me much more aware of that.
Would it be like a somber occasion where you're all like the car is quiet, there's no music, it's just
sitting? It got awkward as fuck. Things would get super awkward.
And you guys enjoyed this?
No, but it was so necessary. I think it was so mature, honestly.
So there were no tunes on the radio.
I don't think so. I think it was very serious.
You just parked.
It was like, let's talk about our
You would just park
problems.
the car and have a AA meeting, basically.
Honestly. And like I said, I think I only went to 2 of these, but I think they did it way more without me.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. That was the one that I brought away from that. But
How does the guy who drives the snowmobile get to work in the morning?
does he not have it at his house?
The snowmobile?
Are you talking about a snow plow?
Oh no.
Wow.
Let me try that again.
Wait, so there are people that get paid to just drive snowmobiles? Sounds like a great life.
How does the guy who drives the snow plow
I
get
think they
to
have
work
it
in
at
the
their
morning?
houses.
You
I think they would have to.
You know what I'm talking about? Snow plows, Jen. Those monsters.
I know what a snow plow is.
They don't park those in their little driveways.
I don't think they have little driveways. I think they live out in the country. It's like. Have you ever seen a school bus parked in someone's lawn? It's because that person drives a school bus.
But there's also school bus parking lots
Sure.
where you go and
And I'm sure
you
there are
drive
snowplow
to that
lots.
place.
But there's got to be someone with a snowplow at their house. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. You know,
I'm
we should
sure of it.
ask. Cassandra's husband Zach does that. I think.
Zach.
Yeah, I don't
Zach.
know if he's. Should we call a friend?
Zach.
Oh, I loved watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
That was a great show.
Did you ever think just like, okay, who would I call? Because it would totally depend on the question, but you have to set that up beforehand.
You're allowed multiple people lined up for like specialty, like in history,
way.
geography, that stuff.
Oh, that's so smart.
That's why sometimes they'd be like, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. Who are you going to call? Oh, my friend Jim. He's really good at this. That's why I'm calling him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or just like the smartest person you know would have to be the number. If you only had one choice, who would it be? You probably your dad, honestly.
I think I would be, no joke, my dad. He's
Yeah.
a genuinely very intelligent man who he's just an intellect. He remembers things and he knows things.
I would be the worst person to call a friend because I know shit all. Like it would have to be.
Pop culture for you.
I'm not good at pop culture though. You know this. If it was about a celebrity relationship, I would probably know.
Which it very well could be. What would you put me as?
Like under what category?
Yeah, like what's...
Oh, obviously like music, movies. You know everything about everything, like the years and the. Yeah, you're so good at that. I don't know anything. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not smart, but like in that way, I'm not good at like facts.
Who'd be your like botany person? That's
Botany?
I got a guy.
That's not one of the major.
I got a botany guy.
Oh yeah, who? Name 5. That's one of my favorite Santa Claus 2 references. Maybe the only one. Do, do, do.
I like it when the reindeer's like, oh,
Speaking of pop culture, do you want to know what the first note is on my podcast app? My podcast note in my phone. Do you want to know what the first?
I would hope it's a G sharp.
Oh, can you imagine? There are people who can go G sharp, sure, and then they sing it.
Oh yeah, what's that called?
Perfect pitch.
See, I don't think I have perfect pitch, but I think there's
You do not.
Well,
I'll tell you that for free.
Well, what I'm saying is I don't have perfect pitch, but there's people like me where you are so experienced with hearing and playing music that if you go over and play a chord, I could probably
Oh, tell me what it is. For
guesstimate.
sure.
Just from like hearing songs and learning
No,
them.
I know,
and...
but if someone said sing a G sharp right now, like that's no.
That's perfect pitch and I cannot do that.
No, but it's amazing how you can hear something and you can just play it. That blows my mind.
Well, I'm not like some savant. I need to practice, but
No, but
like I'm
lot of
familiar
people
with
can do
the theory of it all of like
do you want to hear my first point?
first, fifth, seventh.
Do you want to hear what it is? What's Bill Nye up to?
Bill,
the science guy. The science guy.
Science rules.
Bill. Do you know how many theme songs I have memorized in my brain?
Jen, don't get me started
And yet
on
I
childhood
can't
theme
remember
songs.
any facts about anything.
Are you ready for this one?
I don't even know what years the wars were.
The years the what?
I don't even know what years the
Oh,
world
because
wars
you,
were.
You just house all the theme songs.
Because I just have all the theme songs.
You may not get this because again,
I'm
age
so old.
difference. But this just popped in my head. I haven't said this out loud in probably 20 years. Monster by mistake.
Oh my God.
Do you recognize that? He's like, I'm a monster by mistake.
Yeah. But that also reminded me of Mona the Vampire.
Mona the vampire. Yay, Mona.
Okay, you can cut this later, but I'm going to sing a theme song for you that I will never forget. Yet, I don't remember the last time I saw this show. And nobody knows this show that I don't think I've ever met anyone that's like, oh yeah, I used to watch Little Lulu. Did you watch Little Lulu? Do you even know what that is? Little Lulu, there's no one quite as smart. Oh, actually, I didn't even start at the beginning. See, okay, maybe I don't
Start
remember
from
it.
the very
Maybe I finally
beginning.
forgot it. Maybe I finally forgot it.
Damn.
Little Lulu, with freckles on your skin, always in and out of trouble, but mostly always in. Using dad's necktie for the tail of your kite. Using mom's lipstick for the letters you write. Little Lulu, there's no one quite as smart. Doesn't matter what you're doing it with your heart. Bouncing curls and sparkling curls, a sparkle in your eye.
Yeah, I'm going to cut this
When
later.
can we look forward to your next surprise? What a surprise, though the clock's at 7:30, it's really after 10. Looks like Lulu's been repairing it again. I don't know why, you know it's true, Lou. Though you're really hard to tame, little Lulu, we love you, Lou, just the same. Little Lulu, we love you, Lou, just the same. Yeah, something like that. And I loved that show, but I don't even remember the last time. I was probably like 6 when I saw that.
Na 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 na
Na,
na
na,
na
na,
na
na,
na 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 na.
That was one of my favorite shows.
Did you saw the movie?
Yeah, of course.
Where did they go? Japan?
Yeah, it was Reptar.
Reptar Land?
Yeah.
That was I again so long,
good.
but it's so vivid in my mind. I think that's the movie where I first heard the song "Who Let the Dogs Out."
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's cute.
There was like a 5-year period where every time there was a moment in a movie when like things went crazy, it was "Who let the dogs out?"
Ooh.
Yeah.
What an epic song. But also listening to that today, I'm like, ooh.
I'm genuinely surprised that song was not in Shrek.
Oh, true.
I think it came out like a year before Shrek. It would have been prime.
Dan,
you know what?
who am I?
Shrek's too good for that.
Dan, who am I? True.
Hi, Jamie.
True. Love you, Jamie. How are the polar bears?
Oh, yeah. Jamie went to see polar bears in the wild. In
In
the wild.
In quote unquote Manitoba.
Oh, God, guys. Jen has this thing with Manitoba where
It's
apparently...
not a thing. I don't believe in it. I don't subscribe to Manitoba.
You understand how incredibly strange this must sound to people right now who've not heard this before. How you just don't believe in Manitoba.
Prove it. That's all I gotta say.
We'll see license plates on the road and I'm like, Jen, look. And you're like,
Wow.
that poor guy thinks he's from Manitoba.
No, he doesn't. He's being paid. Dan, don't get me started. We shouldn't even get into conspiracy theories because it's
What's a
too-
conspiracy theory that you either believe
into
in
it.
or like you actually kind of...
I don't know if I have one.
I think the closest one for me is I'm open to the idea of Bigfoot.
Oh, you love the idea of
Because this is
Bigfoot.
what you have to realize.
Is that a conspiracy theory?
Well,
That's more like mythological creatures.
So we all love gorillas.
Or paranormal. Wait, is Bigfoot a mythological creature or paranormal?
It's not a ghost.
But ghost isn't, like, paranormal can be aliens.
I'm so confused.
Let's
But-
look at the definition of paranormal. The first Google of the
But let's just
podcast.
realize this, people. Bigfoot, think of gorillas. Gorillas were not marked down, identified by scientists until the 20th century. Before that, they were just things seen in the distant wild by the local natives. And it was just like, yeah, they're there. But then when scientists were documenting and they got proof, it wasn't until the 20th century. They're so elusive and they're so massive.
If they exist. Oh wait, you're not talking about
I'm still
Bigfoot.
talking about gorillas.
No, I believe in gorillas.
Gorillas are so elusive and so massive
Right.
in the continent of Africa. Think about how big the North America is. Bigfoot are massive and considered elusive. And you think, oh, but America, like all this space is covered. Like, but then you stop and think just how much space these national parks, these forests cover. Hundreds of thousands, millions of untouched acres. People have literally never stepped in some hundreds of thousands, maybe
That's
millions of
weird.
acres of North America.
That's weird. Are you sure?
Like it has to just think about for a sec just how massive
I can't
land
fathom.
is like that. Anyway, that's why I'm open to something like Bigfoot.
Bigfoot is a cryptid or a rumored species that there's little physical evidence that it exists. However, some people believe Bigfoot is a paranormal being.
Also, you think about, we've never found a dead one. Have you, walking in the woods in your everyday life, found a dead
I've never seen
anything?
a dead bear or a dead
I think
moose.
maybe I can count with one hand the times I've come across a dead anything.
I love how into Bigfoot you are because that's how into ghosts I am.
Well, I'm just proving a point. It's like you can be open to it simply because, hey, it actually seems kind of possible.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like. You know what's interesting? An interesting thought is, what if Bigfoot exists but not in this dimension or not in this universe? And what if people are just like glimpsing them somehow because they have the ability to see in
You
different...
think it's fourth dimensional?
Or...
You're not thinking
Hear me
fourth
out.
dimensionally.
I'm going to tell you, Marvel has really opened my mind to the idea of multiverse.
Oh, for the love of God.
No, because
You're watching too much Disney Plus, kid.
I think I've told you this, but sometimes when I'm like driving on the road and I think, oh my God, what if we just had a huge crash and blah, blah, blah. And then I think, what if that thought entered my mind because that actually happened in an alternate universe?
Or you just have thoughts.
Or what if your dreams are things that are actually happening in alternate universes? What if that's what dreams are?
Dreams freak me out.
Yeah.
You know how many times I have deja vu because
Yeah.
I feel like I dreamt this exact specific scenario in this moment several months ago.
Mm-hmm.
A few weeks ago, I was sitting on the bed reading a book. You were to the left of me.
This is something that actually happened?
In real life. Sitting on the bed reading a book. You're to the left of me on the other side of the bed. You're standing there. And then Betty is on the right on the carpet in the open area of the bedroom. That happened in real life. And all that aligning triggered me to be like, deja vu. I feel like I've dreamt this exact moment where I'm looking at a book.
Yeah.
Jen's to the left of me. But then you think to yourself, you know, everything I'm describing in the grand scheme of things is kind of vague because it's like I read a lot of books. Jen stands over there sometimes, and Betty is playing a lot of times, you know. But like, but still, it's
the feeling of deja vu is freaky. And also, does it ever happen to you where you have a thought or a memory, and you go, "Wait, I don't know if that actually happened or if I just dreamt that."
Yes.
Yeah, that's freaky for me because I'm like, I don't even know what reality is.
Yeah, when it's long enough ago, and you think you have a memory of it, but it turns out that back then you just thought of like a daydream.
Yeah.
And then you kept thinking that same daydream.
Yeah.
And over time, you just forget that it was a daydream, and it comes into your head, and you're like, oh, that memory I have.
Well, that's what they say, don't they? That everybody has a completely different experience of the exact same event, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's so wild.
Do you ever see that movie Vantage Point?
No.
It's
Who's in
okay.
it? It's okay. Wow, you're really selling it.
You know, it's been so long. I think Forrest Whitaker is in it, and that is the best I can do in terms of the cast.
All I think of with Forrest Whitaker is The Panic Room, and man, do I love that movie.
So I think Vantage Point was basically
is it
like...
The Panic Room or just Panic Room? The Panic Room.
I think it's Panic Room.
Yeah, I think so too.
We'll get to that later. But yeah, Vantage Point was a movie from like 2006 or something where it's some kind of... There's an assassination that occurs in this big town square, and it's all these several different people's perspective.
Maybe I have. No, I think I'm thinking of that one with Robert.
And they're all
De Niro.
told episodically. Is that a
No.
word? Episodically.
Sounds like a word. Sounds legit. So, slang. Because here's something.
Yo.
I feel like the older I get, now I'm like,
Oh my
I
God.
understand when I was like a teenager how adults never knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Because slang, isn't it such an interesting concept that it is only between a certain age group and then the other age groups are completely left out and that it changes so often?
But the craziest thing for me is that I've looked at slang from both sides now. In that I was a part of slang back in the day, and
Same.
it was great, and you understood it.
Yeah.
And adults were dumb because they didn't get it.
Totally.
It's like, this
Now
is
we're the dumb
lit,
adults.
and the adults are like, you turn something on. But today, when kids say something like Riz,
What is that? I've never heard of that.
I have no fucking idea what that means.
Oh, and like demure. I had to
And
Google.
I hate it.
I had to Google demure.
Demi Moore?
Have you heard of this? And this is probably over now. Like,
Is
this
it
is
Demi
how
Moore or
fast...
Demi Moore?
Demi.
Is that what you just said?
No,
Demi Moore.
it is not. So I saw something on TikTok. Some woman made a video of her saying the word demure, and it went viral, and then everybody started making videos of them being demure, which basically means like, look, I'm not being extra at all. And which is, you know, the slang of the previous generation. God. And it was so confusing for me, and I had to Google it to see what it meant, because I was like, why is everybody saying demure? What does this mean? And it was just because of one person whose video went viral.
Oh, but social media, that's where it all happens, isn't it?
That's where it all ends.
Ooh, that's real.
I need social media for my business, so I'm glad that it exists for that purpose, but it is so addictive and it is so dangerous, and it worries me so much for when Betty gets to a certain age where we can't avoid it, where we can't keep her off of it, and because it messes kids up. It messes up everything. It messes up their image and their self-confidence and everything. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
If it wasn't for this podcast and how we've put it on social media and YouTube and all that, and we have our pages for people to follow, I would not be on social media more than twice a week, which is kind of what I was at before.
Well, for what? Why would you go on twice a week?
Well, it's because of you and other people who we just send memes to each other exclusively
Gabe.
through Instagram.
Gabe is the only person that sends me memes or like reels like almost every day.
And I just know I have to keep up with it.
I love it.
But I also like it. But
I
that
like
is
it because it's like, oh, they're thinking of me. That made them think of me. I think that's
it's like
nice.
the only legitimate reason I go on, or I had gone on there. Now I'm there to
Which
check
is weird
the
because they could
podcast
text
stuff.
it to you, but then you'd have to go on there to check it anyway.
And then Facebook meant virtually nothing to me. Again, it's just the podcast page. I check Facebook
yeah,
every
you
day.
deactivated Facebook for a while.
I did.
Yeah.
I literally, until the podcast happened, it was deactivated. Which just means
You're really cool.
it was hibernating.
I don't even care.
No, but it's just like, let's get into this.
I like social media for keeping up with people that you would otherwise know nothing about.
That is probably the best thing.
Like
of
people
it.
from high school, I love seeing
People
them and their
across
kids.
the country,
people
across
that
the
I
world.
actually haven't spoken to in like over a decade, but I love them still. Like
Yeah.
I have
And
a
you
special
like
place in my heart.
You like seeing their vague little updates in life,
Yeah.
like what they look like,
The
they
worst
had a
is when people
kid,
post-
they got married.
No, you know what the worst is? I know one person who I will not single out who uses Facebook to like still make statuses. First of all, I don't even know if statuses still exist, but do you remember Facebook statuses?
Yes.
This person would literally update their status millions of times a day, not millions, but lots of times a day, being like, well, I guess the universe hates me, or, well, there are people who use Facebook for this like woe is me bullshit.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love being like honest and transparent on social media where it's like, listen, I've had a rough time.
It's different being honest versus
Yes. Because I also
attention-seeking.
hate how it's mostly highlights and like, wow, my life is wonderful. And then nobody
Yeah.
sees anybody else going through a hard time and they feel so alone when they do. So I totally appreciate it when people are like, listen, I've had a hard time or I've been going through a hard time. I just
Yeah.
want you to know that. But when it's like constantly like, I'm like, oh, get out of here. Go talk to a therapist, please.
The big thing for me is just the algorithm.
Oh, so confusing.
Well, the whole point of it is that it's getting us to stay on there as much as
Oh, yeah.
physically and mentally possible. Because remember, that's the motto. Facebook is free and always will be. So you get the account. But then how does Facebook make money? It's all the advertising.
And they work, man. They get me.
Okay, they're seeing that enough. How can we get them to see them more? How do we get them to stay on Facebook more? Focus on the things they're focusing on and
That's how you get lost. Is
inflame
that not called
that.
doom scrolling or something?
Here's an example on my Instagram, because I started to notice this a few years ago, is like I would start to like more book things and film things, liking them, commenting them. Literally just, it's not just that. It knows when you stop and just look at it for however many seconds, or you slow down. That's how intense this is. To the point where next time you're in the search or whatever, it highlights book and film stuff. And then with your friends.
Creepiest things when you talk about it and then it shows up.
Don't
the
get
mic's
into
always
that
on.
right now. But with Facebook, it was like all of a sudden, wait, how come I'm not seeing all my friends' stuff chronologically? Remember,
Oh, yeah.
it used to be
Of
chronological.
course.
And then it stopped. And I'm like, what the heck?
I
It
see
was
stuff
like,
that pops up from like 7 days ago.
yeah,
and
it was
I'm
like
wait.
3 days ago, 1 hour ago, 4 hours ago,
Yeah.
9 days. I'm like, what the fuck? It's because it's highlighting at the top
What
of
they
the
think that
feed
you'll like.
the ones you're likely to interact with most.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to sound too.
You do.
Just be mindful about what you're doing on social media. And
Nobody's mindful about what they're doing on social media. That's the point.
well,
of
like one
social
thing
media.
I did for myself was do the whole time limit thing for the apps.
Yes, I have the time limit, and I also try every Friday to do no social media, which honestly is very cleansing.
That is a good one.
But I want to do it more often than once a week. You know what I do love and appreciate on social media is those influencers that are famous for being honest and transparent and like Birds
is nice.
Papaya, who's like, this is my body, man, after this many kids, and here's what I look like, and guess what? This is normal, and it's beautiful. And that's so nice. And then there's Honest Mom, Diary of an Honest Mom or something. And I love her because she's always like, this is what is hard about parenthood that nobody talks about. And I love that too. And so it is helpful when you choose who and what you follow.
Yeah.
You know, because like I like to follow like good news and like good movement and like all those like really happy, joyful things. That's why I hate watching the news. It's so depressing. And I know that that's like, you know, ignorance is bliss kind of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, my problem with social media is there's no regulations on it. But anyway, we have social media for our podcast. Check those out. Check out our Instagram and our Facebook and our YouTube.
Check it out.
Do you ever go back and look at the memories on your Facebook page?
You know I do. I send them to you all the time and you ignore them. But I send them to my real friends and they like them.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, oh, shit. Yeah, it's funny now that we've had Facebook for so long because it shows us memories from like 15 years ago.
That's what I was getting at, just how old it is. I remember getting
I was like
it.
16 when I got it, I think.
Yeah, I think for me it was like 2008 when I was 13.
Yeah, I was 17.
Something like that. Yeah, and just the memories of like what kind of posts you made.
Oh, so embarrassing.
And the way I spelled and the way I used fonts and
my God,
capitalization.
I think in university I posted pictures of a hickey I got. No joke. No joke. I think Beck and I used to have a hickey competition.
Oh. Let's talk about that.
No, let's
Is this
not.
with each other?
Well, never say never. No. Yeah, just the things. And the statuses again. Like, I updated my status like 70 times. You know what's funny? I remember the days when I had to text, because we didn't have smartphones. I had to text my status to a number, and it would update my status on Facebook.
Oh, my God. I remember that.
Yeah.
Wow.
From my flip phone.
Do you remember everybody either had an iPhone or a BlackBerry?
Yes, I remember Blackberries were a thing, and now they are no longer.
iPhone blew up for a couple of years.
They lost out.
And then
my dad had a BlackBerry.
BlackBerry came along, and everyone had a BlackBerry. And everyone was playing that. What's that game called with the platform and the ball's bouncing and it's hitting the bricks at the top?
Oh, yeah. That was fun.
Everyone was playing that because that was
on a BlackBerry?
That was the game on the BlackBerry.
My dad had a BlackBerry, but what happened there? Why did iPhone come out so on top and BlackBerry was so crappy? It's because it had so many buttons. It had a whole keyboard on it.
Well, it ultimately won because of
it evolved.
Its abilities. It didn't have all these buttons built in and
that's what
a camera and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think the BlackBerry had too many buttons. So Betty is turning 2. I know this was
speaking of kids these days.
The segue, but
she's about to be 2, and I'll say big milestone. The other day, she said "I love you" out loud for the first time, didn't she? And who was it to, Jen?
It was to you, and then John Lennon.
Yeah, the picture on the wall.
No.
But
and
wasn't
then to
that
our
crazy?
Christmas tree.
But the best part was we're sitting having dinner, and she started saying "f you."
We thought she was saying "f you."
F you.
It was more like
you.
F you.
F you. And we're looking like, oh no.
She's saying F you.
What's that, Betty? What are you saying? And then she just said, I F you.
Yeah.
And she went, you, with both hands pointing at me. She's like, I love you.
Oh my gosh. And she would get so excited and go, yay. But yeah, we cried.
It was
there
incredible.
Were tears. It was so beautiful. And she peed in the toilet for the first time.
Oh my God.
It was all on the same weekend.
The day before that, she peed on the toilet for the very first time.
And then she's not done it since.
And it was just I was the one sitting right in front of her, and it was just a quick little
It's a good weekend for you, really.
It was. She peed in front of me, and she
and she
said,
loves
I love you to me.
Growing so fast. And we've been Christmas shopping for her, because really, last year she was kind of a lump for Christmas.
Kind of.
This year,
she was a lump.
A half lump. And this year... She, I think, is going to love Christmas. She's going to be like, what is this? What is happening? Why am I getting so many presents? I think she's just going to be so happy on Christmas morning. She's just going to keep getting presents and be like, okay, I want to play with this for 3 hours. And I'll be like, no, actually, here's another present. She's like, wait, what?
Yeah. She's not going to believe it.
But at the same time, we are making a conscious decision not to go crazy with presents. I remember Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher talking once about how they give their kids like one present every Christmas. That's it. Everybody gets like one present.
Wow, aren't they so down to earth?
But I'm serious. It's crazy when people go like 30. Like it's, what does the Dursley kid get?
How many are there? 36. Counted them myself.
36,
but last year I had 37. Well, some of them are a bit bigger than last year. I don't care how I could go all day. I don't care how big they are.
Yeah, don't. No, but it's true. I think it's more important to like teach her about the magic of Christmas and like giving rather than receiving.
That's what you did for me when we met. And we had started to have our Christmases together as the years went. The first years
I put a lot of rules on that.
No, but
These
seriously.
guys had no rules.
My family had no rules.
Crazy.
It was just you rip everything all at once and nobody is paying any attention to anyone else. And then at the end, it's like, okay, Merry Christmas. See you next year.
I just think it makes...
With Jen, this is what Jen did. She's like, everybody, let's all just one at a time, each open a gift. We're all going to look at that person and we're all going to be in that moment with that person opening that gift. And it really did change
My
things.
favorite part of Christmas morning is seeing people open the gift that I'm so excited to give them. Because I really care about gifts. And I don't think that you should ever give someone a gift that you had to go and look for.
It's like, oh, I have to go get them a gift. Blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My favorite kind of gifts are like, you see something, you're like, I have to get that for that person. Or I have to make this for this person because they'll love it so much. That's what my favorite part is.
Another thing that you showed me was how you listen year round. Like, for example, I think the one year, it was like in March, or we were watching Jurassic Park, and I said, oh, you know, this was a book. Oh, I'd love to read the book, see how it differs from the movie. And I didn't know this. You quietly made a note on your phone, Jurassic Park book for Dan. And then the following Christmas, like 9 months later, I open up this gift.
It's a baby, 9 months later.
And it was the Jurassic Park paperback. And I'm like, I was just genuinely like, oh my God, because I forgot that I had thought that.
This is why I don't like getting a Christmas list from someone, because
you make it up throughout that year.
Know you well enough
yes,
to get you what you want. And yes, I have a running note that I've had ever since I met you. And for all my friends and people in our family, of anytime you say you want something, I write it down. And sometimes it's not feasible. Sometimes I can't find it. Sometimes it's too expensive. Sometimes whatever.
Sometimes I talk too much about how I want Jennifer Gardner.
But it was like for Becca's wedding, I was trying to get her the perfect gift, and I tried to get a message from Julie Andrews. And her publicist was like, oh, honey, no. But Stephen King's guy was pretty nice when I reached out to get something from Stephen King. He's like, I'll pass it along to him, but he's pretty busy. So, I mean, presumably Stephen King read my email. So that's kind of cool just knowing that.
Yeah. Remember when we went to his house?
Yeah.
Last year.
He invited us over. No.
Last year. Yeah, last year when we...
Was that last year? Oh, yeah, Betty was there.
When we drove from the East Coast back to Toronto.
Yeah.
It actually saves time to cut through the states in Maine and Vermont.
It's just going through the border. It's like, oh.
Yeah, so we did that, and he lives in Maine.
Yeah.
We went straight to his house. It was on the way.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what we think. It's a big... It looks like the Haunted Mansion in Disney World.
Yeah, it's got like gargoyles in the fence.
It's got the big, scary fence.
So cool.
And the house is kind of farther back on a little hill on the property.
Wasn't the gate open? It was like, just respect us, please.
Oh, I don't
like,
remember
basically,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, he's in there writing the next big hit.
Yeah. He's so cool.
But seriously, he still releases stuff like twice a year.
And his books are still good, right? Like, you've read his recent stuff?
Several of them, yeah. It's all great.
Shout out to the book club.
Yeah, my book club, we've read probably 4 Stephen Kings since we started.
Yeah, because Becca's obsessed. Becca's read like 42, she said, or something like that. Isn't that wild?
And I think, we said this the other day. I think I've read 10 or 11
of Stephen King's books. I think I've only read The Shining, which Becca got me to read, and which was amazing and better than the movie.
I haven't read that.
Oh, that's wild.
I love the movie, but I've never read the book.
And then I've read Shawshank, and I've never seen it. I've never seen the movie Shawshank. That's me.
Oh my!
I've read Shawshank, but I've never seen the movie.
Shawshank was one of, I think, 3 books that I read in one sitting because I thought it was so good.
Well, it's like a novella.
Yeah, but I read it in just one sitting in one night because I just couldn't put it down.
Yeah,
I think I've done that. I think I've done that 3 times with Shawshank, with Alice in Wonderland, and a newer book called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse.
It's a lot.
Which
nouns.
And then I continue and say that book is one of 2 books that's made me openly cry.
That one, the 4 nouns one?
The Boy, the Mole, the Fox.
They should just call it 4 nouns.
And the Horse. It made me cry. It's beautiful.
I didn't know that. I don't think you told me that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, Stephen King is scary. Yes.
Speaking of things that make you cry, isn't Green Mile like the only? I've never seen that either.
Oh, that movie.
That makes you cry?
My God.
Is that Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
Oh, love him. But could we talk about our experience at the movie with Lady Gaga, Gucci, House of Gucci or whatever? Because that was probably one of my favorite movie theater experiences of my entire life.
We go to see the movie House of Gucci, which is like 2022, a couple years ago.
We're sitting in the theater, and there's maybe like, 8 other people in the theater. It's not full.
It's never full anymore, but continue.
Yeah, unless it's like opening.
Or Marvel.
And then we hear all throughout the movie, we hear
he
this
walked
guy.
in
Yes.
10 minutes into the film,
And he
so
walked in
we
and out a few
noticed
times.
him. Yeah.
He walked in and out a few times, but basically there's this guy up in the corner of the theater who was just going like, oh yeah, or like, oh shit.
So we're watching the movie, and during some lulls, you just hear way off in the distance behind you, oh shit.
And we're just like, is he, like, he's not
It
sober.
sounded like
He's
he
not
was
sober.
masturbating.
Yeah. But then it gets so much better, because tell about the part where...
So he did this maybe 3 or 4 times in the first hour, and it's just kind of like, what is going on? It's so sparse.
I think somebody complained about him, and then a staff member came in and he was completely quiet.
Oh, that was so great. They came in with a flashlight and pointed it right up into the corner at him. Like, what's the opposite of passive aggressive?
Aggressive?
Yeah, he just aggressively pointed the flashlight up the corner at him and stood
Probably
there
to
for
be
like
like, this
10
is a warning.
seconds. The guy was totally silent. The second the guy walked out, he was like, oh, fuck. Like you think he's touching himself. And so anyway,
No, it gets so much better.
then there was a point when a character in the movie dies, and there's the funeral, there's the coffin, and the first shot of the coffin, like you see their dead bodies, like, oh, they died. You hear the guy in the background go, oh my God, he died. Like he just does that for a hot second, and it's hilarious.
But then immediately, yeah.
Very soon after that, Lady Gaga and Adam Driver, the two main characters, they're splitting up, they're getting a divorce, whatever. And at the end of the big fight, when it's like, no, I hate you more, and then there's the lull, and the guy to no one in particular is just like, he wants to divorce you.
So good. My favorite when he was like laughing though, and then something serious happened, and he's like, oh shit.
Oh my God, yes. And then a moment where this was a separate time where he laughed out loud, incredibly obnoxiously.
Yeah.
And then the next shot in the film was like a serious scene. And then he was like,
oh
shit. It's like he was stoned and he thought he was in his living room.
I just hope that this man hears this and that I can say thank you to him, because
and then
it
when
was
the
amazing.
movie ended and the lights went up and like,
Wasn't he already gone?
the thing is, we sat there and just waited, and he just beelined down the stairs, straight out the door, and he was just this middle-aged guy with a hat and a coat.
Funny.
And I'm like, dude, he has no idea the impact he's had on our lives.
We will never forget. Never forget him.
Do you remember when we saw Conclave and the guy
Oh my God,
in
are we
front
going
of
to
us?
bring up Conclave in every single episode? Wait, have we brought it up in every single episode? Except for maybe the first one,
But the
because we
point
haven't
of
seen
it,
it yet.
bringing it up this time is because we were at the theater watching it, and there was a guy sitting in front of me, a group of people, and
yeah.
all of a sudden this guy, you know when people just take out their phones and they think they're hiding it, they got it like tilted very slightly and they're crouching down, like it's a phone.
It's so bright.
It's a pitch black theater. There's only one light source ahead of us. You bring out a phone below that, we're all going to notice it.
And when you're just like scrolling during...
But then this
oh
is
my
what he
God.
did. He took it out, and it was, again, like he sat in his own living room. He just took it out in his hand and just started reading an article. He had it in front of his face,
That's
and he
so
started to
funny.
read some kind of article. And it's so clear and so bright, I can basically read the fine print in the row ahead of me. And I'm like, fuck this guy. So he starts scrolling, and I'm like, is he seriously just doing this now? I gave him probably a solid 30 seconds.
It's the addiction to the phones coming back.
Exactly.
And our attention spans.
It was like he was dragged to this by his girlfriend or something. Anyway, he does this. It's 30 seconds I give him, and he's not showing any sign. He's just slowly scrolling down this article.
So distracting.
I'd never had to do this before in my life, but I've seen other people do it. I leaned forward and I was like, excuse me, can you put your phone away, please? He jumped. He looked so scared.
Like, how could you not realize everyone can see you?
And like the lady next to him, his wife or his girlfriend, she jumped. But like she had to have known he was on this phone. But anyway, I said this right up to his ear.
I was so proud of you because I could tell how much gall it took for you to do that, because you're usually
But like it's not check,
passive
it's not doing that little
person.
slight check of the phone. He had it out and
I'm
he
proud
was
of you.
reading an article.
I think it's ridiculous. Yeah.
It was anyway.
Do you remember at the movies when they used to come out before the movie and just tell you, like, put your phones away and don't talk? Do you remember that before it was
No.
on the screen? Oh, because I'm old.
Oh.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you that when we were kids, like me and Lindsay would go to the movies and we'd be like, hey, can we do the announcement? And we'd go up because we had memorized it because we went to the movies all the time.
Oh, because this is in PEI.
No, but they did it. Oh, did they not do it? Maybe in
No.
Ontario. Oops. Yeah, in Charlottetown. That's right. And they would come out and do it. So sometimes we would ask if we could do it, and we'd go up because we had it memorized, and we would tell everybody like not to use their phones and not to do this, and then we'd sit back down. And we'd always sit in the front row so that we could like lay on the floor and like be silly.
In PEI. And then they put on the Charlie Chaplin picture.
I no.
No.
He had the weird mustache, right? Like Hitler.
Yes.
That's all I know about him. And he had a hat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing great. What else?
No. That's
Okay.
it. It's the extent of my knowledge. See, don't call me during Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Is that show still on? It must be.
I think there's some variation.
Probably in England. They have all the best game shows.
But like OG with Regis
oh, Regis.
was 10 out of 10 television.
Oh, so good. He was so serious and so funny. He was great.
He was just so present. And
Oh,
he was
yeah.
like, who wants to be a millionaire? Here we go. And it was just intense and brooding.
The music. Don't know.
Hey, there was was it BBC or ITV show about that cheating scandal from
What cheating scandal?
original UK Millionaire?
Oh, yeah, we watched that.
With the coughing scandal.
Yeah, that was good.
They did a dramatization of it with, actors portraying the real people. And in it, you see how they came up with the show. They like dramatize how they came up with it and how like they actually it was such a revolutionary game show. And they put so much thought and effort into it. And then the couple episodes in, they do the whole cheating scandal.
Do you remember that Black Mirror episode about the true crime doc?
That
It changed, especially you, but honestly, okay, so you talk about how it changed you first, and then I'm going to talk about me. And
first of all, Black Mirror as a show, I think, is an incredibly important show.
me too, but sometimes it's too much for me. Like, I can't handle it. It's too real.
And if you haven't even heard of it, oh my God. The first episode of the whole thing.
No, don't watch the first
is pretty
episode.
intense, but it's an anthology series where every
Yeah, everything's
episode is a different
So
story.
just don't watch the first one.
But the point is,
Some of them are nice.
the newest, some of them are more lighthearted, some of them are intense, but one of the episodes was these kids returned to one of the kids, his hometown, because there's an old unsolved murder, and they're like wannabe Netflix documentary kids, right? And not to spoil anything,
No spoilies.
but they go in, they interview a few people in the town, and they're trying to genuinely solve this cold case, these kids doing this independent documentary.
Okay, but
And
basically the point
The point is that you learn of the incredibly traumatic perspective of the people who are
Being
directly
interviewed.
involved
Yes.
in these murders.
Yeah, and that it's being like put
Like-
on television for people's entertainment,
like
and they're like, "This
somebody's-
is my family who died," or
Like
whatever.
somebody's gruesomely murdered, and then
It's like that was my mom.
It's like that was my mom, and they're being interviewed, and it's
Yeah.
like they win awards, and it's like my mom's dead.
Yeah,
That kind of
yeah,
thing.
it's so dark.
And
to
so
think
after
about.
watching that, and then seeing all the actual real life
Yeah.
Netflix true crime stuff, and I'm like, I can't not think about how that person in front of me on the screen.
just to pull you in, it's so
This is
dramatic,
real.
but it's somebody's
this is
real
to
life.
them, and for me,
Yeah.
it's supposed to entertain me. And so it really affected me to the point where I've hardly watched maybe more than 2 or 3 in the
Yeah.
past couple years.
No, I kept watching them until like probably a few months ago. I watched a specific one, and if there's anything to do with a child now, and that's why I can't anymore, because I just started thinking of what if that happened to Betty, and it's like something that I can't even think about. So
I think
it's
the
too
only
much.
one that I have watched all the way through since that Black Mirror episode was the recent one, the Zodiac.
You watched that?
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. It was, again, another thing I've always hated about them is that the way they marketed it is like new things are discovered. Like
But there
put
weren't?
forth. No.
That's annoying.
Well, kind of, because the guy
Your
who was
perspective?
suspected of being Zodiac was this family man. And so it was like his stepchildren came forward and told their stories of like, this is the date of this murder. Oh, this is what he was like on this date. And so it was like kind of corroborating his weird behavior. It was
So do you
good.
think it was him?
It was probably him. He's dead now.
Wow.
Arthur Lee Allen. You remember the Zodiac, the movie with
I remember everything Jake's ever done.
the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and Robert Downey Jr.
Oh,
and
Jake.
Mark
There's something
Ruffalo
about
is
that
one of my
man.
all-time favorite movies. It's so good.
Have you told the people that we're going to see Jake Gyllenhaal and Denzel Washington in Othello on Broadway?
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I am still just so nervous though that we're gonna get there and it's gonna be like the role of this will be played by this tonight, and I'll be like, I
want my
hate
money
you.
back.
Yeah,
Because literally
That's
the point of me seeing the show
Oh,
is
those
two.
two.
It's two things: Denzel and Washington.
Oh,
If he
for me,
is
it's Jake and
not in the
Denzel.
show, if his understudy is present, I am not gonna watch the show. He is the
You're not
reason.
gonna watch the show.
You're going for Jake. I'm going for Denzel.
I mean, I'm also going for Denzel. He's amazing.
Anyway, it's
I don't want to make love to him,
it's Othello on Broadway, and oh my God, it's gonna be incredible.
and it's on our anniversary.
That's right. Oh my God, I'm just so excited.
Yay.
We're gonna go off and watch Home Alone for the first time this Christmas season.
Yeah, I actually haven't watched it, which is wild.
I'll do the bassoon.
And don't forget to sign my podcast.